So I was looking through my portfolios recently, checking out the winners, the losers, and the stocks that have just kind of been dead money sitting there. Like PayPal, just been sitting there, dead money. SOFI, just been sitting there. Palantir, obviously, we've got a really great gain over 100%. Amazon, since the end of 2022, we've got a really great gain over 100%. Hims & Hers Health has been on an absolute tear, up over 50% for us. But there's one stock in my portfolio that has done so well over the past year that I was looking at the percent gain on my entire position of over 160%, and I thought to myself, I wonder if this small cap stock is actually beating the performance of NVIDIA stock. And we know NVIDIA has been on a ridiculous tear over the past year, and year to date the stock is up so much. But I want to compare the year to date gain and the 1 year gain of this tiny small cap stock that very few people know about versus the big beast NVIDIA that for a brief period of time had actually passed the $3 trillion valuation mark. We're going to talk about exactly what stock that is and what we can take away from this moving forward in our own portfolios. I'm excited to get into it, but first, if you're new here, I'm Austin. I'm a co-owner of cloudmusicsuite.com. I'm also a stock market investor. If you're not subscribed to the channel already, become one of those 4,300 or so people and drop a like on the video. Helps the channel out in a massive way. Thank you so much for doing that. Let's jump into the video. So that one small cap stock that I'm talking about that is outperforming NVIDIA, let's check out some percentage gain numbers. The AI chip maker NVIDIA, their stock is up 158.73% year to date as of recording this video. That is a massive gain, very respectable. On a 1 year span, the stock is up 206.79% over the past 1 year as of recording this video. And now for the small cap stock that is beating the return of NVIDIA, year to date, the stock is up 193.26% as of recording this video. And on a 1 year span, the stock is up a whopping 260.27% over the past 12 months. So it's not just beating NVIDIA by a couple percentage, it's beating NVIDIA by 60% on a 1 year span. And since AI is all the rage right now, and honestly, since tech companies run the stock market, the biggest companies in the world are tech companies, you might think that this stock with a gain like that is a hyper growth tech company. And it's really hyped right now. Maybe it's an AI player, maybe it's a chip player, because those are the stocks that have been absolutely killing it as a rule. But actually, this is one of the most boring companies that you can find out there, and it's one of the easiest to understand business models out there. And the products they make and they produce are extremely easy to understand, unlike something like NVIDIA. Very difficult products to understand. It's hard to wrap your head around why NVIDIA is going to stay as the market leader in their space. It requires a pretty good amount of technological understanding of what's going on. The company I'm talking about is VITL Farms. They sell eggs, they sell butter. That's pretty much all they do. The company started in 2007 with a single farm in Austin, Texas, and now they work with over 300 family farms to produce their ethically raised eggs. They talk about always raising the standards and having the best eggs in the game and the best butter in the game. That's it. That's the easiest business model to possibly understand. And when you can understand the business model, you can easily understand the risks. You can easily understand the moat that a company has. You can easily understand the reward profile around a company. You can easily start to understand how that company is going to capture more of the market that they're playing in and what competitive advantages they have in order to make that vision come to life. And the reason the company's been on such a tear lately is because for a food company, they have insanely high revenue growth. They have revenue growth past 20% very consistently quarter in and quarter out. And while they're doing that, they're bringing the gross margins up like crazy, up 4 percentage points over a 1 year span on gross margin, which is a very impressive gross margin expansion, which is in turn allowing their operating income and their net income to explode over 100%. Operating income is up 121.8% year over year, and net income is up 166.1% year over year. When we got a company that's growing in the low to mid 20% with gross margin expanding like crazy, and they've got over 100% growth in operating income and net income, that's how you get a stock price to explode. It doesn't matter what market they're playing in. It doesn't matter how simple or complicated the company is. When the fundamentals are looking like that and the growth rates are looking like that, it's hard for the stock to not go on an absolute tear up 260% over that span that happened. They also recently raised their fiscal 24 guidance from 17% revenue growth all the way up to 22% plus revenue growth. They say over over 22% revenue growth. And by the way, they're able to do all of this while maintaining one of the best balance sheets in the entire stock market. Definitely one of the best small cap balance sheets that I have personally ever seen. Cash, cash equivalents, and marketable securities were $137.5 million at the end of Q1, and the company has no outstanding debt on the books whatsoever at all. So $0 of debt, $137 million of cash, cash equivalents, and marketable securities. And I got asked recently if I'm still a buyer of Vital Farms right now, even though I'm up so much. No, I'm not currently a buyer of Vital Farms. I'm just enjoying the gains right now. If the stock drops in any meaningful way down to the mid to low 30s, I'll start buying small again. And if it drops into the 20s, I'll start buying a little bit heavier. If it drops into the teens, I'll start buying extremely heavy once again. The valuation has been pushed quite a bit with a forward PE all the way up to 47.29, but don't forget they're growing their revenues 10x the sector that they're playing in. Most food companies grow their revenues by about 2.3% per year. Vital Farms is growing in the low 20% every single quarter. And remember, they guided for fiscal 24 to be 22% plus revenue growth for the full year. Not to mention their expected forward EPS growth rate is 205% in comparison to other food stocks, which typically have about a 10% forward EPS growth. So they're growing 20x faster than their peers. So that forward PE of 47 might look high whenever we compare it to the broad market, but it doesn't look nearly as bad whenever we compare it to other food companies, given the fact that Vital Farms growth rates are absolutely crushing the sector median across the board. So what we can take away from this as we're building our own portfolios out in the future is that you don't always have to buy the most exciting tech company that's out there. I personally couldn't wrap my head around why NVIDIA was the massive player in their space over someone like AMD. Maybe I'm just dumb and I don't understand chips that well, but that's okay. I was able to look at a butter and eggs company, which was very easy for me to understand. I understood it in literally 25 seconds. I was like, oh yeah, that's what they do. Very easy to wrap my head around, and I understood why they have a competitive advantage over their peers, and I looked at their growth rates and I decided the company was disgustingly undervalued whenever I was buying it. Since we had the combination of crazy growth rates and extremely undervalued in comparison to their peers, I saw a crazy pop coming, and Vital Farms' management team has absolutely executed over the last year and has made shareholders a ton of money. Of course, I'm not saying that you shouldn't buy tech companies out there. Myself, I own PLTR stock. Myself, I own Tesla stock and have for like 5 or 6 years, right? Those are two very difficult to understand technological companies where you got to do a lot of digging to figure out why their products are differentiated enough in order to be the leader in their space or the number 2 in their space. I had to do a whole lot of research work on PLTR in order to figure out if it's a company I even wanted to invest in and whether or not they really had the competitive edge that Karp thought they did. I decided that I agree they do have that competitive edge. They are the beast. But with NVIDIA, I just personally couldn't figure that out. I wasn't confident enough about NVIDIA to buy shares. It's never a bad thing to stay away from a stock if you can't wrap your head around why they are competitively differentiated against their peers. And by the way, all of this relates to long-term investing. I'm not talking about trades. For trades, you don't even need to know what the company does at all. I'm not a trader whatsoever at all. I'm trying to buy a stock and then hold it for a minimum of 1 year, but probably way longer than that. 3 years, 5 years, 7 years, 10 years, maybe even longer than that with certain equities. So make sure any stock you're buying out there for the long term, you fully understand the business model before you start investing in that company so that you can figure out why their products are differentiated, what their moat is, what their competitive advantage is, and of course, the valuation has to be in line with what you see where the growth rates are going to be over the next few years. So let me know if you were surprised that this butter and egg company is actually beating the return of NVIDIA over the past year and over the past 6 months. And what other boring stocks do you see out there that could be absolutely beastly gainers? I want to know in the comments below if you've seen any stocks that kind of fit this mold of the Vital Farms mold of being extremely boring. I love companies like that. Let me know in the comments below if you found any. Put me onto those stocks that you love. That's definitely one of my favorite parts of posting here on YouTube, is having some conversation with you guys in the comments down there. Looking forward to seeing those. Thank you so much for being here. Have an amazing day.